Aging is something we all know is coming, yet very few of us are truly prepared for how it changes not just our bodies, but our relationships, our mindset, and the way people see us. The wrinkles, the slower steps, those are obvious. What no one tells you are the small habits that sneak in quietly, shaping your later years without you realizing it. That's what this video is really about, the 12 ugly things seniors do as they age that no one tells you. These are not ugly because people become bad or selfish, but because they slowly push others away and make growing older lonelier than it needs to be. Let's talk about Henry. He's 72, a retired math teacher, kind-hearted, wise, and respected by everyone who knew him. For years, he was the guy people went to for advice, patient, funny, and always up for a good conversation. But somewhere along the line, things shifted. His phone stopped ringing as often. Visits became shorter. The house felt quieter. Henry couldn't quite figure out why. He thought maybe people were too busy, or that life just changes with time. But deep down, he wondered if something about him had changed too. And slowly he realized it had. It wasn't one big thing. It was a bunch of small habits that built walls instead of bridges. The first thing that crept in was negativity. That's the first ugly habit many seniors fall into without noticing. Henry never saw himself as a negative person. He just called it being honest. But as the years went by, little complaints started slipping into every conversation. The ache in his knee, the bad news on TV, how young people today don't have the same respect. None of it seemed like a big deal at first, but over time, those words turned the air heavy. Friends started avoiding certain topics, or cutting conversations short. Even his grandkids stopped staying as long when they came over. The truth is, constant negativity, no matter how justified, drains people. Nobody wants to leave a conversation feeling worse than when they started. What Henry eventually learned was that growing older doesn't have to mean growing bitter. It's easy to let aches, losses, and frustration make you see the world through a darker lens, but there's another choice. Instead of starting the day with a complaint, he began noticing the small things, the smell of his morning coffee, the way sunlight hit the trees outside his window, the laugh of the neighbor's kid. Gratitude doesn't erase the problems, but it softens their hold on you. When Henry began leading conversations with positive things instead of complaints, people noticed. They stayed longer, smiled more, and slowly his world began to feel warm again. So when we talk about the ugly things seniors do as they age, this is the first one, letting negativity take over without realizing it. Then there's the second one, ignoring personal hygiene and appearance. It sounds small, even superficial, but it's more powerful than people think. Henry used to be known for his neat shirts and the scent of his aftershave. He took pride in looking presentable, not for anyone else, but because it made him feel like himself. But after retirement, that habit started slipping. Why dress up if he wasn't going anywhere? Why bother styling his hair if no one would see it? Days turned into weeks where he stayed in the same house clothes, telling himself comfort was enough. But comfort slowly turned into carelessness, and carelessness into disconnection. When he ran into old friends at the store, he noticed they barely made eye contact. It wasn't that they judged him, but people naturally respond to energy, and when you stop taking care of your appearance, you unintentionally signal that you've given up a little. Taking pride in yourself isn't about vanity, it's about reminding your brain that you matter. So Henry made small changes. He started shaving regularly again, wearing clothes that fit him well, putting on his favorite watch before leaving the house. It wasn't a dramatic transformation, but the first day he caught his reflection in the mirror and actually smiled, he realized he'd brought back a piece of himself that had been missing. The third ugly habit that sneaks in with age is stubbornness, being resistant to change. This one hit Henry harder than he expected. He'd been a teacher his whole life, proud of doing things the right way. So when his kids and grandkids started moving their communication online, texting, video calls, sharing photos in group chats, he refused. If they want to talk, they can call, he said. But the calls came less often, and soon he was missing birthdays, little jokes, and family moments that everyone else shared in real time. He thought technology was the problem, but really, it was pride. Change felt uncomfortable. Learning something new made him feel slow, confused, and left behind. But when he finally allowed his granddaughter to show him how to use the family group chat, he was shocked at how easy it was and how connected it made him feel. He saw photos of his great-grandkids, read their silly messages, and suddenly he was part of their daily lives again. Staying open to change doesn't mean losing yourself. It means keeping the door open to life as it continues to move forward. The fourth habit, one that creeps in almost invisibly, is hoarding or refusing to let go of clutter. Henry's home was filled with memories. Old magazines he meant to read, stacks of papers, boxes of clothes from decades ago, gadgets that no longer worked but might someday. Every object had a story, a little tug of nostalgia that said, "Don't throw me away." But over time, his cozy home started feeling heavy. He stopped inviting people over because cleaning became exhausting. Even walking around became tricky with things piled everywhere. It wasn't just clutter in the house, it was clutter in the mind. Every unused item whispered a reminder of the past and left less space for the present. When Henry's daughter suggested he start decluttering, he resisted at first. But when he finally began, one drawer at a time, he felt something lift inside him. Giving away an old jacket or tossing a stack of yellowed newspapers didn't erase the memories, it just made room for new ones. The house felt lighter, and so did he. It reminded him that letting go isn't about losing, it's about freeing yourself to keep living. The fifth ugly habit that often surfaces with age is losing patience too quickly. Henry didn't used to be short-tempered, but he started noticing it in small ways, muttering at a slow cashier, sighing at drivers who took too long, snapping when someone didn't move as fast as he wanted. The irony was that once, he'd been the calm one. He used to tell his students, patience is part of wisdom. But as time passed, the world seemed to speed up while he slowed down, and that mismatch built quiet frustration. One day, standing in a grocery line, he muttered something under his breath about how long everything was taking. The young cashier's hands shook slightly as he packed the groceries. In that moment, Henry saw himself, not as the wise elder he imagined, but as someone adding more stress to a kid already nervous and trying his best. That was a wake-up call. He realized that kindness didn't need youth or strength, it needed awareness. The next time he felt irritation rising, he paused, took a breath, and reminded himself that everyone at every age is fighting some unseen battle. Choosing patience didn't make the world faster, but it made his heart lighter. And that brings us to the sixth ugly thing seniors do as they age, talking too much and not listening enough. Henry loved stories. He had decades of experiences and lessons to share, and he took pride in passing them down. But one afternoon, during a call with his daughter, she said something that stung. "Dad, sometimes it feels like our talks are all about you." He didn't mean to dominate the conversation, but looking back, he saw how often he jumped in with advice, finished her sentences, or turned her stories into his own. It's easy to forget that listening is as powerful as speaking, especially when you have so much life behind you. But people don't always need advice. Sometimes they just need space to be heard. So Henry made an effort to change. The next time his daughter called, he asked her about her week and just listened. He let her finish her thoughts before responding. He noticed how her tone softened, how laughter came more easily. The conversation didn't feel rushed anymore. It felt like connection. That's the beauty of awareness. Each of these 6 habits, negativity, neglecting appearance, stubbornness, hoarding, impatience, and overtalking, might seem small in isolation. But together, they quietly shape how the world responds to you as you age. The title of this video, 12 Ugly Things Seniors Do as They Age That No One Tells You, isn't meant to shame or criticize. It's meant to shine a light on behaviors that are easy to slip into and easier still to overlook. When Henry began noticing them in himself and made small changes, the difference was profound. He laughed more. People lingered longer in conversation. Even his neighbors stopped by more often. Aging will always bring change, but it doesn't have to bring distance. It's never too late to soften your tone, freshen your spirit, open your mind, and invite joy back in. The 7th one is something many older people don't even see in themselves, pushing people away instead of asking for help. Henry had always been independent. He prided himself on fixing things himself. The leaky faucet, the groceries, even carrying heavy boxes when his back clearly disagreed. Every time someone offered help, he'd wave them off with a laugh. "I'm fine, don't worry about me." But beneath that, there was fear. Fear of being seen as weak, of becoming a burden, of losing control. The truth is, independence is valuable, but isolation isn't strength. When Henry's neighbor, a younger man named Luis, noticed him struggling to lift a bag of soil into his garden, he quietly offered a hand. Henry refused, like always, but Luis helped anyway. They ended up talking for an hour that afternoon, laughing about small things. That simple moment reminded Henry that accepting help doesn't take anything away from you. It adds connection. It gives people a chance to show kindness and reminds you that you're still part of the human circle of giving and receiving. The ugly thing isn't aging. It's closing yourself off from the help that brings life back in. Then comes the 8th habit, being too frugal to actually enjoy life. It's almost ironic. Henry grew up saving every penny, and that discipline helped him build a secure retirement. But after decades of saving, the idea of spending, even on himself, felt wrong. He'd skip the nicer bread at the store, decline dinners out, and say no to travel because he thought it was wasteful. But slowly he realized he wasn't just saving money, he was saving away his joy. One day, his daughter surprised him with tickets to a jazz concert, something he used to love in his youth. He hesitated at first. Parking would cost money, dinner would be pricey, but she insisted. That night, sitting under warm lights, hearing live saxophone for the first time in years, he felt something inside him light up. The sound, the energy, the rhythm. It made him remember who he was before the caution and saving took over. Being careful with money is wise, but when frugality becomes fear, life starts shrinking. The goal of saving was always to make life better, not smaller. After that night, Henry started budgeting a little differently. He created what he called his fun fund, a small monthly amount just for pleasure, a coffee with friends, a new book, or a trip to the coast. It wasn't extravagance, it was nourishment. Next came the 9th ugly habit, talking down to younger generations. This one can slip out without bad intentions. Henry noticed it one afternoon when his grandson showed him a new music app. Without thinking, Henry laughed and said, "In my day, we didn't need phones to enjoy good music." His grandson smiled politely but went quiet afterward. Later, it hit Henry. That comment wasn't funny, it was dismissive. What he meant as pride in his generation came off as judgment of theirs. When you talk down to younger people, even gently, you're closing the door to connection. Every generation has its own rhythm, its own challenges. And often, what looks like carelessness or laziness is simply adaptation to a world that's changed faster than anyone imagined. Henry started asking questions instead of offering comparisons. When his granddaughter talked about her favorite social media creators, instead of rolling his eyes, he asked why she liked them. Her face lit up. The conversation flowed. He didn't need to understand every detail, he just needed to be open. Respect is a bridge that goes both ways. When older people listen without judgment, younger ones listen with curiosity too. The 10th habit, holding grudges and living in the past, is one of the most emotionally heavy ones. Henry didn't realize how much old resentment he carried until he caught himself telling the same story again, about a friend who'd betrayed him 30 years ago. Every time he retold it, he felt the same irritation, as if it had happened yesterday. But that friend hadn't thought of him in decades. The anger was only living in one place, Henry's heart. The past is a strange companion. It can comfort you or trap you. When you live too long in it, you stop seeing what's in front of you. Henry realized that forgiveness wasn't about saying what happened was okay, it was about freeing himself from replaying it endlessly. One morning, he wrote down the names of people he still felt bitterness toward. He looked at the list for a while, then said quietly, "You don't owe me anything anymore." He didn't call them. He didn't need to. That small act lifted a weight. The air felt clearer, and for the first time in years, he noticed how beautiful his mornings really were. Aging gracefully isn't about staying young. It's about letting go of what keeps you stuck. The 11th ugly habit is one that can be dangerous, ignoring health issues or pretending nothing's wrong. Henry used to shrug off his dizziness, joint pain, and fatigue, blaming, just getting old. That's what many seniors do. They don't want to make a fuss, they don't want to be a bother, or they're simply afraid of bad news. But denial doesn't protect you, it delays healing. One day, Henry's neighbor found him sitting pale and dizzy in the garden. Turned out, his blood pressure was dangerously high. It scared him, but it also woke him up. After that, he made his checkups non-negotiable. He took his medication regularly, adjusted his diet, and even started walking with a small local group in the park. The simple act of taking his health seriously gave him back energy, confidence, and the sense that he still had agency over his life. Aging doesn't mean surrendering your health, it means managing it wisely. It's not about adding years to life, but adding life to the years you still have. And finally, the 12th ugly habit, forgetting to laugh and have fun. This one might sound light, but it's actually deeply important. Somewhere along the way, Henry realized he hadn't laughed in a long time. Not a polite chuckle, but a real, unguarded laugh. Routine had taken over. Meals, TV, sleep, repeat. When was the last time he'd done something simply because it felt good? One weekend, his daughter brought over a board game. Henry resisted at first. That's for kids. But a few minutes in, he found himself laughing harder than he had in years. The kind of laughter that shakes your shoulders and fills the room. After that, he made a rule for himself. One moment of joy every day. Whether it was a silly movie, a chat with a friend, a walk with music, or just sitting outside watching the clouds, he made space for it. Because joy is not childish, it's human. When you forget to laugh, you start aging twice as fast. And that's really the heart of all of this. The 12 ugly things seniors do as they age aren't about being bad or selfish. They're about what happens when people stop noticing their own habits. Negativity, neglect, stubbornness, clutter, impatience, talking too much, rejecting help, being overly frugal, condescending to youth, holding grudges, ignoring health, and forgetting to laugh. Each one pulls you a little further from the lightness of living. But each one is reversible. When Henry started changing, nothing dramatic happened overnight, but everything changed over time. His home grew brighter. His relationships deepened. His laughter came back naturally, not forced. The small adjustments, choosing gratitude over complaint, self-care over neglect, curiosity over resistance, all led him back to a simple truth. Aging isn't what takes joy away. It's the habits we let grow quietly while we aren't paying attention. So, if you're listening and some of these sound familiar, don't feel discouraged. Awareness is the first step. Notice which of these habits might have quietly taken root in your life. You don't have to fix them all at once. Start small. Smile at a stranger. Ask someone about their day and truly listen. Spend that little bit of money on something that makes you feel alive. Accept help without guilt. Forgive something that's been haunting you for too long. Because aging doesn't have to mean shrinking. It can mean expanding, becoming more gentle, more open, more at peace. The truth that no one tells you is this. The later years of life can be your most beautiful chapter if you keep growing from the inside out. Henry, like many others, once believed that old age was the end of discovery. But now, when he sits on his porch at sunset, watching the world change colors, he knows better. He knows that the real secret to aging well isn't avoiding wrinkles or time. It's keeping your heart young enough to still be curious, kind, and full of laughter. So the next time you think about the 12 ugly things seniors do as they age that no one tells you, remember, they don't have to define you. You can rewrite every one of them into something beautiful. Because aging doesn't have to be ugly, not when you choose to age with awareness, gratitude, and love.